Hello, and welcome back to Carnivore Scott's channel. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to discuss 4 signs, plus one extra, that your metabolism is improving. If you have a fatty liver and you're still eating tons of fruit, particularly fruit smoothies, if you're drinking sodas and you're drinking alcohol, well, guess what? Here's your sign. They knew it. Oh, there he is. He's popping in his nitro pills, right? So there's a 4 markers, your glucose and your ketones that you can check. Your hunger signaling and your satiety. Nutritional ketosis and therapeutic ketosis that would point to the signs that your metabolism is improving. Most of you who are here watching this probably typed in some search parameter that says, how do I know I'm getting better? I already know how I'm not good. There's plenty of videos that tell you how you can tell your metabolism is not working. But there don't seem to be intermediary videos to say, hey, it is working, and here's how you can tell. Now, I'm sure if you sat down and you thought about it, you could probably find a few things all on your own. But this is my journey, and I thought I would chronicle and share it with you. First and foremost, in all of that, I want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who commented on my video where I said I wasn't feeling well. Last week, I started a new job. I guess the opportunities and the excitement of it all and the anticipation for it and maybe just a little bit of stress set up a perfect storm for me to catch the man flu. That's right. This is a new week. Today's a new day. I'm feeling better. And I'm going to do the things I need to do to stay as healthy as I can along the way. Improving metabolic markers. I was looking for some. I wasn't really finding something definitive, so of course I did the obvious. Look at what was bad and see how it's getting better. Well, the challenge there is I have to make sure I understand the universe of going from the good to the not so good. To do that, I went ahead a couple weeks ago, and if you've been following the channel, you might remember that I went ahead and purchased a Keto Mojo. It's another one of those tools, and here it is. Here's my Keto Mojo, and I purchased this so I could check my blood glucose and my ketones. My blood glucose wasn't a real problem, but it's hovering right around 100. Now, the driver for all of this is I have been diagnosed with a fatty liver for the last 4 years. And I dare say I've probably had a fatty liver for 20 because I've been fat. Based on those things, a large circumference on my waist and some other factors, I'm pretty sure I've had a fatty liver to some degree or another for a period of time. I've known it for sure for 4 years because I went and got involved in a study where they did a sonogram on my liver and they measured for elasticity and fat penetration based on the propagation speed of a wave through my liver. And it was a free study, so I went to it. Then I had some CT scans done on my liver. They said fatty liver. So it became a real focus for me. And then it became even more of a focus when they are indicating the potential for portal vein hypertension. But I think they've misallocated me. They looked at all livers, and all livers are supposed to have a portal vein no larger than 1.3 centimeters. Yeah, mine is 1.6. But I'm a lot bigger than the average person. I'm almost 6.5 feet tall. So larger organs. Got it. But the fatty liver, doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are. All it matters is I can't see through it because there's so much fat in it. That's a problem. So I look for biomarkers. I've got lots of blood tests. And I get blood tests done on a regular basis at my local VA. So now we get to today's discussion. How do I know that my efforts, I've been doing a carnivore lifestyle, carnivore, ketovore, for the better part of 2.5 months. First week of February, I started. Now the scale, I don't trust the scale. By my scale, by multiple weighings and averaging, I'm down about 25 pounds. That's good. I know a lot of that weight loss is water. But I can tell some of it's fat because my clothes fit different. I can see my shoulder blades now. My shoes are a little bit smaller. Or no, my shoes are the same. But my feet in my shoes are a little smaller. So I know I'm losing body fat. I know I'm losing some weight. I eat a lot of meat comparative to what I used to eat. I eat a lot of meat, thereby hopefully minimizing the catabolic effect of a low carb diet. I don't want my body being hungry and saying, hey, let's go ahead and eat some muscle mass, some lean tissue. I don't want that. I'll give you all the protein I can. You need protein for neoglucogenesis and you don't want to burn the fat, I get it. I also give my body plenty of fat to eat. Tallow and the lard and what comes in my eggs, saturated and unsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. I don't eat trans fats. No. But I eat fats. I eat the fats that come with my food. Okay, I'm not fat phobic at all. Tend to be a little too focused on butter, I think. But I'm eating the fats. I'm eating the proteins. And I'm staying away from the carbs for the most part. We'll talk about that later. But today I want to talk about what can I do to measure if all this effort is working. Now I have the urine strips. They will tell me, yeah, you're in ketosis, but that's just ketones that have been shed by my kidneys. I want to know what's in circulation in my blood that my body may be using. So hence the Keto Mojo. And I have found that my glucose is getting better and my ketones have been improving. And I thought I would share a couple of them with you. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to grab my phone real quick because with the Keto Mojo, you get this really nice app. And the app will allow me to display readings of late. Screen here the way I want it to. So going back to the very beginning, this was back on the 12th of this month. I had a GKI of 4, glucose of 86, and my ketones were 1.2. You can kind of see them there, right? So that put me in a moderate level of the GKI scale. Then on the 13th, and that last one was at 5:20 p.m. This one was at 2:30 p.m. I tried to do it right around 2:30 to 4. So on the 13th, I had a GKI of 5.7, like a moderate level GKI. My glucose was 94, but my ketones were only 0.9. I go to the 14th, GKI at 10. My glucose was 109 and I only had 0.6 millimolars. So technically, I was still in ketosis, nutritional ketosis, but not really effective ketosis, so to speak, for health improvement. On the 14th, glucose at 325, glucose 110, ketones at 0.5. Again, not great GKI, but still in ketosis. We go to the 15th. All of a sudden now, my glucose is down to 83, and my ketones are up to 2.9. My GKI is 1.5. High therapeutic ketosis. So you have nutritional ketosis and therapeutic ketosis, and that therapeutic ketosis is like where you want to be to get healthy from things. And I was doing really well on the 15th. On the 16th, a GKI was down a little bit to 2.2 with a glucose of 79 and ketones of 2.0. So that's really going good, all right? And this is in millimoles on those ketones, okay? Get to the 17th, my GKI was 3. Moderate GKI, glucose 94, ketones 1.7. On the 22nd, GKI was 2.4, and my glucose was 88, ketones 2.0. There, again, in a high therapeutic level of ketosis. And then I did my reading last night. This was the second one on the 22nd. I don't normally do 2 in a day, but I did this time because I did an experiment. I'll talk about that in a minute. There it is, 1.4. Glucose 88, ketones 3.5. I was smoking in that ketone level, right? I was doing great. Why am I taking time to share all this? I've been doing the ketogenic type diet activity on and off for 4 years now. Maybe 5 years, 5 years. Since my first time I really got into, because Sean Baker did his January drive, eat meat for January, right? I did that, and Jason Fung and Dr. Barry and the Dr. Barry finger. I've watched Sean O'Mara, and I have watched, video after video after video. I've been out in the carnivore community, and while I've been listening to a lot of things, I haven't followed them. Anyway, I've had a 27-year affair with saccharin, artificial sweeteners. I've used all of them, the yellow, the pink, and the blue. Never really liked the blue, but I used them all. And I have the other sugars. I've bought bags of those above the counter there. But I just only really liked saccharin. So that was my poison of choice. I decided that last week, after watching some videos and getting some research, and I had a video about that earlier, but I decided that last week I was going to drop off. It was last Tuesday on the 16th. Well, actually, I stopped on the 15th on tax day. And I said, I'm going cold turkey, no more artificial sweeteners. And I already kicked the soda habit. I kicked the soda habit back in February. I said, no more of this diet soda. Got it. But I like my saccharin. I even carried around a little pill case to make sure I always had it with me, because I get the little NECA pills. And I would take the pellets, and I would put that, have it in my pocket. Anywhere I would go, my NECA was sure to follow in my pocket. That's right. I'd be at a restaurant. I'd open up, and you think I'm taking nitro pills? No, I'm just taking my poison. And I'd put them in there. Everywhere I would go, people, they knew it. Oh, there he is. He's popping in his nitro pills, right? I decided, after reading some studies that said, your pancreas and your body are smarter than you. And what was happening was, as soon as I put sweet in my mouth, my pancreas was pumping out the insulin. My insulin on my last test, full carnivore, had gone from 6.5 to 9.5. Now, that's still not high. That's not something to be terribly concerned about, theoretically. 9 is the upper end where Dr. Barry would say you would be. Other people say, well, you should be around, I don't know, 4 or 5. I'll go with Dr. Barry in the finger and say below 10, so single digits. So I'm good there. Now, remember, fatty liver. And I said to myself, I'm not seeing the results a lot of people are seeing. And I know I'm different. I want to be successful too. Maybe there's something to this fake sugar thing. And now I have backed up scientific evidence where they took people and they had them eat and take a bite of apple pie and spit it out, never swallowed it. They had a needle in their arm, and they were checking their levels. And sure enough, within 15 minutes, insulin went up. I really don't care about glucose at this point. My glucose is normally below 100. My postprandial glucose is below 100. I don't care about glucose. It's not bad for me now. But insulin I do care about. And that rising insulin I cared about. And I got to thinking, well, every time I was throwing something sweet in my mouth, I was bumping up the insulin, right? Pancreas says, okay, you want a little insulin? Here it comes, boy. And out comes some more insulin. And why do I care about the insulin? Because I wasn't getting into great ketosis. I was in that, I'm barely there, but I want to be there. I mean, I want it to be there. Ow. I want it to be there. So I was sabotaging myself with that artificial sweetener. Also, a couple months ago, I decided no more social drinking either. So there's no alcohol, because that's a stupid thing to do if you have fatty liver disease. If you have a fatty liver and you're still eating tons of fruit, particularly fruit smoothies, if you're drinking sodas and you're drinking alcohol, well, guess what? Here's your sign, right? Because that's just antithetical behavior for fatty liver. You want to get rid of a fatty liver? Stop the liquid sugars. Stop all the sugars. Get rid of your starchy carbs. Stop all the carbs. And by all means, don't drink alcohol. You'll get rid of it. And your uric acid will go down. A lot of good things happen. Kind of like a country western song being played backwards. Did these things in the hopes that I would improve. And sure enough, I did. As you saw through my GKI numbers, it's improving throughout the week, each day, because I'm not having so much insulin released. So I'm really excited about that. And what's really good is I had a blood test done this week to check my lipid panels very specifically. And we're going to have a good baseline, like the day I stopped to my next test. So I'm really excited about these things. So I've talked about two biomarkers. I talked about glucose and I talked about ketones and measuring them here at the house as ways to tell that my metabolism is getting better. Again, metabolic health is where it's at. And there's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of nuances, a lot of really smart people looking into this. But for me, I needed to know some ways I could check, and I needed that feedback mechanism, and I found it through following my glucose, following my ketones, and knowing what I'm eating. Two other things that are really going to be measurable, but they're tangible to you if you are concerned with it. One of them is hunger signaling. So you have those hormones, your leptin and your ghrelin, and you can have problems in those hormones just like you do with insulin. You can have hyperinsulinemia, you can have insulin resistance because you've had too much in the system. Well, the same thing happens with these types of hormones and probably with most hormones. So hunger signaling. I used to never be hungry. My wife would get really mad. Even when I wasn't on a keto diet, not on a carnivore diet, I just don't get hungry. And I would say because I'm always well fed, I carry a lot of extra fat, at least 80 pounds of extra fat. So I'm never really hungry. That should have been my first clue. No, in the military, they teach us you've got to be concerned about your troops if they're getting dehydrated. And one of the first signs of dehydration is a loss of thirst. The other thing is satiety. When you eat, do you feel full? Do you feel like I'm done? Not just the stretch receptors. Not like after that Thanksgiving dinner, big, and you want to go into you're in a food coma. And I would do that plenty often, obviously. Do you get hungry? Then you eat, and as you're eating, you go, I'm kind of done. Yeah, I'm good. No, I don't want another bite. No, I'm not going to clean your plate off too. That's my wife, I'm not going to take everything available. There's 4 markers, your glucose and your ketones that you can check. Your hunger signaling and your satiety. You know those. You can tell that. And I would sit there and say there's a 5th bonus, and that's your sleep. How's your sleep? Is your sleep improving? Now, I've had a cold this last week. I can't say my sleep was improving. But what I have noticed is I feel once I wake up and get going, I feel pretty good in the morning. I have a good energy level in the morning. I have pretty good energy level across the day. While this is a change and a stressor for me, it isn't stressing me out. You know what I mean? That's another thing I've noticed. I'm not really getting spun up. A lot of people in the carnivore space will tell you how their mental acuity is improved and how their outlook on life has improved. And I have to agree. When I've started new jobs before, there was a lot of stress. And I would eat and I'd get all caught up in it. But this time I'm like, okay, we'll do what we have to do. We'll find a way. We'll get there. And I'm like, okay, that's the way it is. That's the process. I don't think it's because I got older or wiser. I think it's that my body isn't in such disarray. Now, I'm not in perfect health. I still have a solid 50 pounds to lose. I'm about 285 pounds. I want to get down to about 235. 230 would be nice. So I still have 50 pounds I need to get rid of. And it's going to take some time. Those last pounds don't come off as quick as the first pounds. You know what I mean? So it's going to take some time. It might be Christmas when it comes off. It might be a year from now when that 50 pounds is off. It really won't matter to me because I'm going to stay in ketosis for a majority of that time. I'm going to stay off of sugar, but there's a caveat. So yesterday, and remember how I was talking about that last GKI that was so spectacular, the one that was 1.4, with my ketones were 3.5, and my glucose was 88, and this was at nighttime, right? Sure was. Well, here's the deal. Yesterday, I experimented. Yeah. I had my dinner, good dinner, meat, and I know, big surprise, right? I had my dinner, and then after dinner, I said, you know what? The day before, I had had count them, 4 blueberries, and I lived. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a blueberry dessert. Yeah, I am. I've been working hard at this. From everything I read, your liver and your metabolism should recover. And so I decided to make a blueberry dessert. What I make, I took 40 grams. I measured it, got my little scale. I put the one by one blueberries on scale. I took 40 grams of blueberries. I put a tablespoon of butter in the microwave, melted the tablespoon of butter. Or maybe it was 2 tablespoons of butter. And I poured the hot butter over the blueberries. Then I mashed up the blueberries. And then I added a teaspoon of allulose, which is a sugar, but it's a fruit sugar from figs. It's a rare sugar. Read a lot about it, how it actually will take your glucose down and has some really good properties to it. I said, okay, I should be metabolically flexible enough now to have a little bit of sugar and not be insulin resistant. Because I've heard that happens because you go so long with no carbohydrates, your pancreas is like sleeping. Then you throw a big shot of carbs in, or all of a sudden with sugar, and your pancreas is like, well, I don't want to wake up. It's Monday. I'm not doing it. No. Well, okay, because your body keeps saying, give me the insulin. Well, I don't have enough of those strips to measure every 30 minutes. But I did it postprandial 2 hours. And that right there, what you just saw there with my ketones being at 3.5 and my glucose at 88, that was 2 hours after I had that. And I ate that and I liked it. Maybe next time I won't put so much butter. But the blueberries and the butter and the allulose, and I did not have a sustained glucose spike, and being in such a high level of ketosis, right? You can't be in ketosis and have a lot of insulin out. You just can't. So it's kind of like a bellwether. If your ketones are really high, your insulin has got to be low, at least lower. Probably lower than the 19, right? Which is the base, I think the upper level is 19. So I must have been below 19. I probably was in around the 7 or 8. My metabolism is now flexible. And I really am stoked about that. You may not see it. You may not sense it in my demeanor. But I'm really, really stoked that I have a little bit of flexibility and I'm not quite so unhealthy. Now, I'm not going to do that every day. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing, the same as it ever was, and I will go ahead and do this until in May. Later in May, I'm going to get another CT scan of a CT scan of my liver. And I'm hoping that by that time, my liver will be like the underwear model of livers, nice and slim and not full of fat. I've never been told I had fibrosity. I'm hoping there's no cirrhotic signatures, but we're going to find out what it is. What I can say is I feel better. I'm over the man flu, and the metabolic markers seem to be indicating I'm getting healthier. So I appreciate y'all hanging with me this long. If you're still here, I don't know. If you are here, could you hit the like button? Could you leave a comment? Let me know how all this impacts the way you're thinking about things. Because really, honestly, There are very few videos out there. They'll tell you how you're wrong. They'll tell you what is wrong. They'll tell you how to eat, what medicines, all things. But I don't see a lot of things saying, hey, by the way, these are some intermediate markers for you to have the feedback that it's working. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate you being here. God bless, take care, and bye-bye.